If you've ever felt something change in her eyes, this video will make everything finally make sense. The truth is, women can hide many things, but guilt isn't one of them. You'll see how her energy shifts, how her affection fades, and how her silence starts speaking louder than her words. Every man needs to understand these signs, not to hate her, but to protect his peace, his value, and his heart. Don't skip a second. What you're about to hear might change how you see relationships forever. Stay till the end. You'll never look at her the same way again. Comment your location and where you're watching from. Subscribe for more real, raw truths about love, psychology, and self-worth. When a woman cheats, the first thing that changes isn't her words, it's her energy. You feel it before you understand it. It starts in the small things. The pauses that weren't there before, the smile that lingers just a little too long or disappears too quickly, the sudden silence that replaces what used to be laughter. She doesn't realize it, but her emotions are already shifting. It's not about distance in miles. It's about the emotional space that quietly opens up between two people. You'll notice she's present, but not with you. Her body is there, but her heart, her attention, it's somewhere else. When a woman carries guilt, it weighs on her subconscious. She tries to act normal, but her natural rhythm becomes forced. Conversations feel scripted, her response is calculated, and the effortless flow that once defined your connection becomes heavy. You may ask, "Are you okay?" And she'll smile and say, "I'm fine," but deep down both of you know something has shifted. Guilt doesn't need words to be seen. It seeps through tone, timing, and touch. She may start avoiding certain questions or change subjects quickly when intimacy or accountability comes up. It's not the words that betray her. It's the hesitation before she answers. You see, emotional disconnection is the first and most telling sign of hidden guilt. When a woman feels torn between two realities, the comfort of what she has and the thrill or escape of what she's done, her inner world begins to fracture. She's living in two emotional dimensions, and that internal split steals her authenticity. It's not something she can consciously control. Psychology tells us that guilt manifests as withdrawal, not because she stops caring, but because caring suddenly feels complicated. Every gesture, every moment of affection now comes with the weight of a secret. Over time, her emotional presence starts to fade. She'll listen less deeply, hug a little shorter, or find reasons to stay busy. You'll notice her priorities change. What once mattered to her about your relationship suddenly seems to fade into the background. She may start talking about needing space, time to think, or wanting to focus on herself. These aren't always lies. Sometimes they're confessions disguised as excuses. She's not trying to hurt you. She's trying to manage the storm of guilt inside her by creating distance between her actions and your love. Philosophically speaking, guilt has a strange nature. It's both a punishment and a protector. It punishes her by making her restless, unable to find peace. But it also protects her humanity, because it means she still feels the weight of what she's done. The woman who feels no guilt has lost her moral compass. The woman who does is caught in a silent war between desire and conscience. She'll smile through the chaos, but deep down her peace is gone. Every text, every touch, every time she says, "I love you," there's an echo of doubt that wasn't there before. When a woman is emotionally connected, her affection feels pure and free, flowing. But after betrayal, it becomes guarded, like she's rationing love, giving just enough to keep things stable without giving too much to feel exposed. You can sense it in her timing. She won't say, "I love you" first anymore. Her laughter feels forced, and her compliments come late. It's like she's constantly editing herself, afraid that too much warmth might expose the truth she's trying to hide. At night she lies beside you, but her silence grows heavier. She avoids eye contact during deep talks. Maybe because your gaze reminds her of the part of herself she betrayed. Her phone becomes her shield, a way to avoid confrontation, to stay in control of her secret world. Yet, ironically, Every effort she makes to hide her guilt only makes it more visible. Human beings were never designed to live in deception for long. The emotional cost always shows. And so, the first true sign of infidelity isn't physical, it's spiritual. It's the subtle disconnection between her soul and her presence. You feel it in your gut, even when your mind denies it. That quiet intuition you have, that something is off, isn't paranoia. It's your emotional intelligence responding to a change in energy. Because when love turns into guilt, connection turns into performance. The hardest part is that you can't fix what you can't name. You'll try to bridge the gap, more affection, more reassurance, more effort. But none of it reaches her, because her guilt has built an invisible wall. Until she faces herself, nothing you do will bring her back emotionally. And if you stay too long in that confusion, you start questioning your own worth, wondering what you did wrong, when the truth is, you simply started noticing what she could no longer hide. Guilt doesn't announce itself loudly, it whispers. It hides in the way she avoids your eyes, in the silence after your jokes, in the distance of her hugs. But once you understand that emotional disconnection is not random, that it's often the echo of a secret, you stop chasing explanations that don't exist. And that's the lesson. Never ignore the quiet shift in energy. The truth rarely speaks in words, it reveals itself in presence. When love turns cold without reason, don't rush to blame yourself. Sometimes it's not that she stopped loving you, it's that she can't face you without facing what she's done. Because guilt always leaks, and no matter how calm she seems, the eyes never lie. Guilt has a strange way of revealing itself. When a woman cheats, she doesn't always pull away. Sometimes she moves closer. She becomes unusually affectionate, overly attentive, even kind, in ways that seem almost exaggerated. You might find her suddenly cooking your favorite meals, complimenting you more, or initiating conversations she never used to care about. It feels confusing at first because it looks like love, but it's not the same energy. What you're really witnessing is guilt trying to rewrite the truth. It's not affection from a place of connection. It's affection from a place of fear. Fear that if she gives more, you'll never notice what she's hiding. Psychologically, guilt creates what experts call compensatory behavior. It's the subconscious need to balance internal conflict, to do something good, to offset something wrong. When a woman cheats, she knows she's crossed a moral line, even if she tries to justify it. But the human mind hates inconsistency. It can't hold two opposing realities, love and betrayal, without tension. So to soothe that internal storm, she starts overcompensating. It's not planned or strategic, it's instinctual. She's trying to convince herself that she still cares, that she's still a good person, even though her actions have broken that image. You'll notice subtle patterns. She'll laugh more when she's with you, not because she feels joy, but because she's trying to recreate normalcy. She'll initiate intimacy, not from desire, but from obligation. A silent attempt to cover up emotional distance with physical closeness. Sometimes she'll shower you with unexpected affection, or talk about the future just to prove, both to you and herself, that she's still invested. But behind that performance, there's a crack, an emotional stiffness, a sense that something feels rehearsed. This overcompensation can take many forms. For some women, it's nurturing behavior, cooking, helping, showing kindness. For others, it's verbal, offering reassurance, making promises, or apologizing for small things that don't matter. These are subtle signals of a deeper emotional imbalance. Because guilt doesn't let the heart rest, it forces the mind to work overtime. The more she tries to silence that guilt, the more visible it becomes through her exaggerated gestures of care. And here's the paradox. Guilt makes her act more loving, but it also makes her feel more distant. It's like she's giving affection from behind a wall. You can feel her touch, but not her heart. The laughter is there, but the connection isn't. You can sense that something about her warmth doesn't feel pure anymore. It's as if she's performing the idea of love rather than living it. That's the emotional dissonance guilt creates. Philosophically, guilt is a desperate cry for alignment. When a person acts against their values, they instinctively try to restore harmony. They might not confess, but they'll seek redemption through actions. The woman who cheated might start doing things she never used to do, bringing peace offerings in the form of attention, affection, or generosity. Yet underneath it all lies the unspoken truth. These acts are not love, they're apologies that words can't form. What's even more fascinating is how guilt distorts authenticity. A woman acting from guilt becomes hyper, aware of how she appears. She'll monitor your reactions, making sure she's saying and doing the right things. Every move becomes calculated, not because she's manipulative, but because she's trying to manage the version of herself that she knows is slowly crumbling. You'll feel it in the way she looks at you. That fleeting moment when her eyes soften with care, then quickly retreat, as if afraid of what might surface if she holds the gaze too long. Guilt also makes her unpredictable. Some days she'll be overly sweet, other days distant and irritable. That's because guilt is unstable energy. It shifts between compensation and withdrawal. One moment she's trying to prove her love, the next she's overwhelmed by the weight of her own deception. This emotional fluctuation is what creates confusion for the partner. You start wondering why she's suddenly changed, why she's so kind one moment and cold the next. What you're really seeing is a battle within her, the war between guilt and denial. Eventually, this pattern exhausts her. Pretending to be at peace while living with guilt is emotionally draining. Her affection becomes inconsistent, her patience shorter, and her need for reassurance stronger. Deep down, she wants to feel forgiven, but she doesn't want to confess. So she keeps trying to buy her peace through kindness, hoping that if she's good enough, if she loves hard enough, maybe her actions will erase her mistake. But guilt doesn't work that way. It doesn't fade through performance. It only dissolves through truth. That's why overcompensation always feels temporary. It's like painting over a crack in the wall. It looks fine for a while, but the fracture always resurfaces. Eventually, her efforts to act extra loving start to feel forced, and you'll sense the emotional inconsistency. She might blame stress, work, or life's pressures, but the real reason lies within. She's trying to make peace with a self she no longer fully recognizes. The irony is that the very thing she's doing to hide her guilt often exposes it. You can't fake emotional balance for long. True love flows naturally. Guilt-driven affection drains both people. So, when a woman suddenly changes, when she becomes too kind, too giving, too expressive, don't just take it at face value, look deeper. Ask yourself if this behavior feels like love or like guilt trying to make peace with itself. And that's the uncomfortable truth most people ignore. Sometimes the extra attention isn't a sign that she's fallen more in love. It's a sign that she's trying to love away her guilt, because guilt doesn't always make her pull away. Sometimes it makes her hold on tighter, just to hide the fact that she's already let go. Anxiety is the one truth guilt can't silence. When a woman cheats, she may think she can manage the story, control the details, and keep everything together. But her nervous system tells a different story. The mind can hide what the heart feels, but the body can't lie. The unease begins quietly, a tightening in her chest, a shift in her breathing, a sudden irritability over things that never used to matter. She starts living in a constant state of alertness, as if she's waiting for something to go wrong, even when nothing has. That's because deep inside, she knows the peace she once had no longer belongs to her. This anxiety isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. Restlessness that she can't explain, an inability to relax around you, a sensitivity to questions that sound completely innocent. She might get defensive when you ask where she's been, or she'll overreact when you notice something small. It's not that she wants to argue, It's that your questions trigger her guilt. Every word you say feels like a potential doorway to exposure. The human mind, when burdened with secrets, naturally enters survival mode, constantly scanning for threats, even in safe spaces. That's why her tone changes. Her patience thins. Her comfort with you disappears. Because deep down, she's not just hiding the truth from you, she's hiding it from herself. She's trying to appear calm, but every conversation becomes a quiet test of control. Her body language betrays her. The crossed arms, the sudden eye aversion, the fidgeting hands. She keeps her phone close, not because she doesn't trust you, but because she's terrified of what might be found. Her anxiety makes her protective, not of you, but of her secret world. Psychologically, this anxiety comes from cognitive dissonance. The clash between her actions and her self-image. A woman who sees herself as loyal, loving, and honest now lives with a truth that contradicts that identity. That internal conflict creates emotional chaos. She can't reconcile who she was with what she's done. So she becomes hypervigilant, always trying to manage how she's perceived. That's why she might start controlling conversations, avoiding eye contact, or even blaming you to divert attention. It's not malice, it's self-preservation. She's trying to ease her anxiety by shifting the emotional weight off herself. You might start noticing patterns that don't make sense. She checks her messages in another room, keeps her phone face down, or suddenly sets new privacy boundaries. These changes often appear disguised as independence. I just need space, or you're being too suspicious. But in truth, they're anxiety-driven behaviors. She's building emotional distance, not because she's free, but because she's scared of being seen too closely. Guilt turns even the smallest interactions into emotional minefields. She's constantly editing herself, what she says, how she looks, when she's available, all to maintain the illusion of control in a situation that's quietly falling apart. Philosophically, anxiety is the body's response to dishonesty. When our words and our reality don't align, the nervous system reacts as if we're in danger. Because in a way, we are, not from others, but from our own truth. Every lie, even a silent one, creates an imbalance that the soul tries to correct. That's why people who cheat often live in quiet tension. Their peace becomes performance. They smile, but the eyes tell a different story. They laugh, but it doesn't reach the heart. The mind is trying to hold the mask, while the body is screaming for relief. This anxiety can even turn physical. Sleepless nights, loss of appetite, sudden mood swings. They're not random. They're signs of emotional pressure. A woman who cheats may not admit her guilt, but her body will. She may find herself easily startled, hypersensitive to criticism, or emotionally unpredictable. She may withdraw, then overcompensate, then withdraw again. A constant cycle of avoidance and relief. That's what guilt-driven anxiety looks like, chaos disguised as control. And yet, there's something deeply human about it. The anxiety isn't just punishment. It's a message. It's her conscience trying to bring her back to honesty, to alignment. The discomfort she feels isn't meant to destroy her. It's meant to wake her. But when she ignores it, when she chooses silence over truth, the anxiety grows stronger. It doesn't just damage her. It damages the relationship's emotional foundation. Because anxiety doesn't stay hidden. It bleeds into her presence, changing how she speaks, how she touches, how she looks at you. What most people miss is that anxiety often reveals guilt long before confession does. The energy changes. The sense of calm between two people turns uneasy. You can feel her restlessness. Even if she's smiling, you can sense that she's holding something back. Even when she says everything's fine, the intuition you feel isn't paranoia. It's perception. It's the emotional intelligence of your heart, picking up what her words are trying to conceal. When you look at her and she suddenly looks away, that's not shyness. When she laughs at your jokes but her shoulders stay tense, that's not disinterest. It's guilt living through anxiety. Her body remembers what her mind is trying to forget. And that's the part no one teaches you to notice. That truth has a vibration, and lies can't match it for long. Eventually, the anxiety becomes unbearable. She might become distant to escape the discomfort, or she might end the relationship entirely to silence the guilt, because at some point, her nervous system will demand relief, and truth, whether spoken or revealed, becomes the only way to calm the chaos. So when you notice her unease, her restlessness, her defensiveness, don't just see it as attitude or indifference. Recognize it for what it is, a nervous system in conflict, a woman carrying the weight of what she can't admit. And that's the hidden truth behind guilt. It always finds a way out. You can lie with words, but you can't lie with energy. Because no matter how controlled she seems, guilt always trembles, and the body always tells the truth.